Thank you very much for coming out to the Oscar watching party, and thank you and welcome to the historic Texas Theater. Can I get a massive round of applause for this gorgeous, gorgeous theater? It's really one of the few places I come to when I know that if I walk in at any point in the week, in the month, whatever, I can see something that is crowd-pleasing. I can see something that's challenging. I can see locally produced films. It's a phenomenal theater, and thank you very much for supporting it.
Texas Theater is a one-screen theater that was opened in Dallas in 1931. It was actually financed by Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes bought a whole chain of movie theaters called the Robin Rowley Theaters in 1930, which eventually became Rowley and United, which eventually became United Artists. So United Artists was running it in 11/22/1963 when Lee Harvey Oswald came in here and watched a movie called War is Hell before being apprehended by the Dallas police. So that incident made the Texas Theater famous or infamous, depending on how you want to look at it.
But that part of our history is, you know, what we'll forever be associated with, and also in some ways what we owe the theater's continued existence to is people's interest in that particular part of its story.
Its link to the JFK assassination really hurt the business for lots of reasons that people would expect, but it never really bounced back from that. So it became a B movie theater, you know, very cheap, you know, B, C, D movie theater.
In the 90s, it opened and closed a few times. There was a big fire here in 94. In 99, 2000, it was in massive disrepair.
And then the vultures started circling. There were rumors that it was going to be gutted and turned into a furniture store. No, they were going to level it and some of the surrounding buildings and put in a giant mercado. So a bunch of neighbors got the Oak Cliff Foundation together and bought the building and renovated it from 2002 to 2005. For a little while, thinking they were going to do touring Broadway productions here, and then realized that that probably didn't make sense given the limitations of the space with our raked floor. We thought about, you know, other kinds of live entertainment, but really it's a movie theater. It does everything else, but it's a movie theater.
The group that we put together in 2010 called Aviation Cinemas came in and took over the lease and started running it as an everyday movie theater and event center. The appeal and the demographic of the theater actually kind of fits this street in this neighborhood. Jefferson Boulevard has this long history of supporting all sorts of cultures. And I think right now more than ever, we're seeing those cultures combining and working together copacetically. We have these great like dress shops over here. We have these great Mexican food restaurants. And we have stalwarts that have been on Jefferson Boulevard for 50 plus years. We have Charcoal Broiler, we have Top 10 Records, Raven's Pharmacy, and even older is the Texas Theater, which has been here for 85 years.
So I've lived in Oak Cliff like on and off like my whole life. It's this art house that I never really knew existed, but then once I came in here, it just opened up like a whole new world kind of thing. I love this theater. I'm in love with the architecture. I'm in love with the films that we show, with the concerts. But then whenever it's something Latino or Mexican based, it's like, it hits like really close to home and it like makes me want to cry because it's like, that's important to me. This is a Latino based community and you want to see yourself on camera. You want to hear yourself.
There's certainly something very, very different that's offered here than is offered at, you know, an AMC or whatever. Do you want to go there sometimes just to see a blockbuster and walk in and walk out? Of course you do. You know, sometimes you're just catching a flick. But to come to the Texas Theater, you're here for something different. You're here to be involved with the humans who are here and to have the conversation and to, you know, catch a drink before the film and after the film because you're talking about it.
What I hear back the most is that it seems like a Texas theater thing, that it's not typical, and there could be no bigger compliment.
I've often heard people say, oh, the repertory is just PR for people coming to see Avengers. Well, when we do repertory, it's not just like an afterthought. When we do repertory, it is our main thing.
Well, we don't just play movies. We like to create events around the movie so that it's not just walking in and out of a theater, it's being there for a full experience centered around the film.
It's often like, can we get a guest? Can we get a band? Can we get a speaker? Can we have a DJ? Can we have themed drinks?
we'll decide to, hey, let's remake the trailer or let's reenact a scene from that movie, you know, to honor that movie and kind of help us promote the event.
I've watched classic movies, glittering in the dark, in 35mm.
We kind of found our footing in figuring out who to co-sponsor with and kind of really, truly involve the community. It was always the idea to have lots of programmers, to find people that do specialty events. The Tuesday Night Trash was a very early co-sponsor event. Like, what do we do with Tuesdays? Well, we'll show these old VCR movies.
We try to find movies that are real underground, real grungy stuff that's just a lot of fun. And we'll do like tape trading in the lobby, sometimes we do DJs. There's a record club that meets that same night as Tuesday Night Trash, so there's usually a lot of activity on that Tuesday of the month.
We're about to watch Raiders of Atlantis. This is another one where Italian people are pretending to be Americans. It was shot in the Philippines, which is supposed to be Miami, Florida, or thereabouts. You like your action with a little sci-fi. Basically, a Russian nuclear submarine starts leaking. Atlantis raises up from the depths and unleashes hordes of punk rockers on Miami or like Florida, and they kill everyone.
Tuesday Night Trash. It's usually like a B, mostly horror, mostly science fiction kind of weirdness. So those nights are always my favorite. You're gonna see some weird shit, and it's awesome.
We have a residency with a ballet troupe called the Dallas Neoclassical Ballet, where they often will come up with a movie that has some dance elements, and they will choreograph an original piece themed to the film, which we move the screen back so they can have the full stage, and then we move the screen forward and we show that film. We've done Red Shoes this way, we did Black Swan, we've done Suspiria. Tonight we're working with the Dallas Neoclassical Ballet again on an original work that they choreographed for Chris Marker's La Jetée. So they actually stepped it up a notch and made a film to go along with their ballet. It made it more of a multimedia piece, and they commissioned a video artist to work on that. So it was a bigger event. We actually built a screen that goes back and forward, right? Because we have a large stage. So when we have a stage show, a performance, we push the screen back so we give them the stage. And then if we have a film, we push it forward. But this also gives us a whole other space literally behind the screen. So often when we do a movie, immediately following the film, we'll have an after party or a rock and roll show behind the screen. So that's what we call it, behind the screen series. We can fit a couple hundred people back there.
The Texas Theater, I love that it's here and I love that it exists, and I hope that people continue to come here and see that we're trying to like appeal to everyone in some sort of way.
People will pay a pretty shilling to see Armageddon. You were supposed to bring armor cords, you prat.
Once I discovered the theater, I was like, oh, there's no other neighborhood that I want to live in. Like, if I'm going to be in Dallas, I'm going to live in Oak Cliff. There's no better vibe in Dallas than like being down the street from the Texas Theater.